sit back down or quiet down, please, so we can continue on. Okay. Like we've been doing, we'll start with a 2-minute intro, and Brian, we'll start with you.
Where's the teleprompter? This is on. Good evening, my name is Brian Comfridge. I've been in Sheridan County for 40 years, Manchester for about 21. I would have been here sooner, but my dad wouldn't let me quit school when I was in kindergarten, and I fought with him a lot about that. I was heading for Wyoming. So I asked him every year, and he was just hard to deal with. So in the meantime, I had a good job. About 13, I worked at a farm. And I did that so I could go to the next level, hopefully get my driver's license to come out here. And I did drive out here on my own when I was a young man, and just loved where I ran around when I was a child. My dad introduced me to this. At 16, I played ball in the meantime. At 16, he wouldn't let me quit for some reason. He just didn't come to his senses. So I got a job in a factory that killed 50 to 60 chickens a night. And you talk about a humbling job after playing ball where people used to ooh and ah because you could hit a hole. And I was okay for a small town. They gave me a pail, some rubber gloves, some rubber boots. My first paycheck was about $38 because I didn't know that I had to pay for all those rubber gloves that I was gripping. And that ended up fast enough at age, and the rubber boots I paid for too. My dad still didn't let me. He was just one of those guys who just didn't come to his senses. But I eventually graduated high school, and most of my education came from old people that were World War II guys and survived the Depression. I did read my Constitution and get stirred by that after talking to those guys. And, I've always struggled with promoting the general welfare, and so I have parents. I had to move on. I moved to Wyoming. I met my wife, beautiful lady. I wasn't like my dad. I came to my senses quickly. I had $200 bills wrapped in my pocket. I was always a homeless guy. And so when my wife asked me to marry her, I did it right away. It was like a fever. We have 8 children together. We've been here for years. We have double that grandchildren almost. And we believe Christian values is what's changed our life the most. We believe that a family is the backbone of the community, and the country, a strong family. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica?
I'm going to do something a little different. I don't like to sit when addressing the audience. Good evening, and thank you for the Chamber for hosting tonight's forum. My name is Jessica Weaver. I've called Wyoming home since 2008, where I've raised 3 daughters who attended school in Bighorn and in the Tongue River Valley. I'm a business owner, I'm a certified insurance counselor, I'm a certified environmental strategist. I'm also a United States Navy Corpsman veteran, and I've proudly served on the town council for 8 years now. During my term on council, I've worked on budgets, infrastructure, water, land use, public safety, and planning for Manchester's future. I've learned that even routine decisions can have lasting financial, legal, operational impacts on our residents and future generations. Beyond the council, I've served on the Wyoming Local Government Liability Pool Board and on the Board of Directors for Local Federal Credit Union as Governance Chair and Secretary Treasurer. Those experiences strengthened my understanding of governance, financial oversight, risk management, strategic planning, and accountability. Professionally, I work in risk management, but the foundation of that mindset began during my service as a Navy Corpsman alongside the Marine Corps. I've learned that the best leaders prepare before the crisis, remain calm under pressure, and protect what people have worked hard to build. Those same principles guide my career today. Risk management teaches that every decision has both have a time element and a financial consequence. What appears inexpensive today can become far more costly tomorrow if we fail to plan ahead. That perspective has shaped my career, my service on the town council, and how I would lead as mayor. Manchester is entering a very crucial time with the resurrection of our coal industry, and we have to plan for that strategically and smart. And with that, I ran out of time. Thank you, and I'd really appreciate your vote for Mayor of Manchester.
Okay, we'll start with question number 1. Jessica, you will answer first. Manchester is one of the fastest growing communities in the state. How do you think growth should be managed?
We are a premier bedroom community of Wyoming, and growth can only happen when you have enough water and you have enough land. We're out of land. We've annexed about 20 acres into Manchester, and that's going to take a lot of time to develop because of the wetlands. We have plenty of water to grow about 30 times Manchester's size, but I don't ever foresee that because we want to keep the quality of life that we enjoy in Manchester. So really, it is based on land and water, period.
Thank you. Brian?
Well, yeah, it did grow. Now, if you look at this year, the fees that are there went down for our building permits and that, so it's slacked off. Manchester's in a place where it's just a prime location right now because Sheridan is growing too fast, and because of COVID, people wanted to get out of where they're at. This might have backed up for a little while, it might not have. But nobody's mentioned the Constitution about freedom. We need to let this up to families where they want to be. It's not up to us to push where they should be, and it's not up to us to change our community. One thing about Manchester I drove around town the other night, it's a quiet community. That's where I like it. I like it like that. And if the freedom brings it to where it's not, and it grows, that's fine. But we should be spending government dollars to do it, and we shouldn't be in control of things. The government is what caused most of the problems that we have, that we're discussing all the time, wherever we go. Thank you.
Okay, question number 2. What leadership experience has prepared you to serve as mayor? And we start with Brian.
Leadership experience? Well, we home educated our children. I continue to home educate them today. In fact, my one son asked me the other day, he knew I had them $200 bills yet from being conservative. He said, "Dad, can I see them?" I said, "No." He said, "Why not?" I said, "Because you hornswoggled me out of them, and they don't mean nothing to you because you didn't work for them." I said, "That's how the government's doing it. It's not their money. And so they don't spend it wisely." Leadership? I've been self-employed since I was 21. I know where the first dollar came from. I know how to run a business. And I do anything for a buck. And I'm a servant. Leadership? Strong communities. Christian-based. We need to go back to our values of what this country was founded upon. That's leadership.
Thank you. Jessica?
My leadership is a history of leading hundreds of businesses that I've insured about how to manage their risk. Leadership experience is being on boards and directing an organization to financial stewardship, healthy cultures, respecting the employees. Leadership is my experience in running my own insurance agency for the last almost 20 years. I have that experience in risk management and budgets, and so plenty of experience in that.
Okay, thank you. Question number 3. Jessica, you start. If funding decreases, how would you balance the city's budget while maintaining essential services?
Repeat that one more time.
If funding decreases, how would you balance the city's budget while maintaining essential services?
If it decreases, we're going to have to look at what exactly do we need to cut as far as, is it legal to cut it? Are we breaking any laws? Are we reducing any essential services, which obviously that was part of the question. We don't want to eliminate that. And another, a core service like our nonprofits, that our government that doesn't provide those services, are we cutting those to our seniors and our residents that require those essential core services?
Thank you. Now we'll go to a 2-minute closing. Oh, sorry, we have one more question.
You don't want to put me on the spot for that? Maybe one down.
I don't know, I had myself, I apologize. Go ahead. I apologize.
If it was going to be reduced, which is pretty doubtful because they're giving us another 8% of direct distribution money, is what is on. But if it was, we had a $50,000 entertainment budget. Now it's 40, that can go away. We have a bunch of nonprofit money that we spend, that can go away. We buy a lot of banners and posters. We don't need those. There's a lot of places to go down really fast. The only thing we really need to make sure is that the water, it doesn't get touched. Streets are for everybody. Everybody in our town uses streets. Whether you're old or young, doing business, whatever, they deliver on streets. They don't have to be maintained. All the other frivolous things, that's not the role of government. That's up to us to take care of that for ourselves. We need to go back to that responsibility and get the government out of that. Government causes inflation. That's how it's caused. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll go to our closing, and Brian will be first.
Grandpa, tell me about the good old days. I'm a hopeless romantic. I always have been. When you have a beautiful wife like me and such a lady, you have to be. People are looking for something. I watched that video the other day, and there were 60,000 people out there wandering back and forth, holding hands and that, and they go back home and they're irritated. Why are they? We're about to lose this country. Why are we about to lose this country? We have crony capitalism, not capitalism. The government's picking winners and losers. Where does inflation come from? The only place that can create inflation, I can't create it. It's created by regulations and by overspending. Everyone's got a housing problem. Everywhere you go, the housing problem comes up right away. Building says they're going to be regulated. Down here, they're going to start building things with the government. No, how about if we just get the government out of it and get rid of some of the government intrusions into it? You can't build a house unless you have 80 acres, unless you're in a subdivision. You know what that does to a family? How many families can buy 80 acres? Not very many. In the Bible, Ezekiel chapter 45, it says, the princes always lived well, just like we're doing now. It says, no more exactions. Exaction is what Dennis Fox was taking. We're taking money by force. And we're telling people that they don't know how to spend their own money. It's not right. And it's not good. Also, you'll see in 2 Kings, Rehoboam loses the kingdom because he doesn't listen to the old people. We need to go back to our old paths. No one talked about the Constitution. That would govern us. That's not a big thing. A mayor's not a big thing. If we follow the Constitution, we wouldn't need anything to just make sure somebody's not stealing out of the coffers. It would run itself. We have decided we are not content with being free anymore. We need to go back to freedom. Artie Short has a point there. Freedom. Freedom takes care of a lot of things. But you know what? Strong families, the Word of God takes care of a lot more. I'm a strong proponent of that, but you know what? We are Ecclesiastes chapter 9. Wine maketh merry, making it is for laughter. Money answers all things. I'm here to tell you, I want to bring back freedom. I want you to have as much money in your pockets as you can have. I try to lower the mill in Manchester just one. We can do it easily. Just load it down. 1 to 4 all the time. I'd like to have your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica?
Throughout this forum, we've discussed budgets, growth, infrastructure, public safety, and the future of Manchester. Those are important issues, but they all come back to one responsibility: making decisions that serve Manchester, not just today, but for years to come. I believe a mayor's responsibility is to bring people together, not just around problems, but around solutions. That means listening to residents, respecting our town employees, working collaboratively with the council, and building strong partnerships with our county, state, businesses, and neighboring communities. One lesson I've learned through military service, business ownership, and risk management is that every decision has both a time element and a financial consequence. The choices that seem inexpensive today can become far more costly tomorrow if we fail to plan ahead. That's why I believe the cheapest decision is not always the least expensive decision. So tonight, I'd simply ask you to think about one question. When Manchester faces its next difficult decision, and it will, who do you trust to make that decision? Someone who has done the homework, someone who understands the long-term consequences, someone who will listen before deciding, someone who has the judgment to make difficult decisions and the character to stand behind them. If that's the kind of leadership you're looking for, I would be honored to earn your trust, your confidence, and your vote to serve as the next mayor of Manchester. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay, now we'll move to Manchester Council member candidates. Travis, you want an intro or start with you?
Howdy. Thanks for everybody coming. Appreciate all your interest in what's going on. I'm Richard Hookfire. I'm seeking one of the vacancies on the Manchester County Council. Let's see, my experience. I served in the United States Army in intelligence for 3 years, 4.5 years. And went to work for Burlington in Santa Fe, Burlington then, right here in Sheridan. And then lost a job and moved to Montana to work for the railroad for the rest of my career. I retired in 2015. Excuse me. I thought this thing started at 8, so I barely made it. I'm sorry to be late. My experience, I went to school, I was born and raised in Wyoming, born in Sheridan. My family's been in this county for 5 generations. My grandfather, great-grandfather could have knocked the road on the top of the mountain. Dayton built a sawmill after they worked in the coal mines. My grandfather was a teacher, was a principal at Sheridan High School, was a principal at Cleveland. I just found out that long ago. My grandmother and my great-grandmother built a bakery in Warnock. My dad was born in Warnock. I was teasing that he was born in Augusta. But my family's been around forever, and in Sheridan County, I was forced to work out in Fountain County. As soon as I retired, I came right back to Sheridan. My mom still lives here. She worked for the power company. Grandma worked for MDU. And that's about all I got. I don't know what else to cover. But yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Tim?
Good evening. My name is Tim Mays, and I'm running for Manchester Town Council. I have lived in the Tongue River Valley for 40 years. Lived in Dayton for 2 years. Lived on the Lomax Ranch for 12 years, and lived in Manchester for the last 26 years. I have a bachelor's degree in education from Montana State in Bozeman, and I have a master's degree in natural sciences from the University of Wyoming, Post. I taught middle school science and math at Tongue River Middle School for 36 years. Coached sports in the Tongue River Valley for 40 years. I just finished my final season. I think. I've been the maintenance director at St. Edmund Catholic Church in Manchester for longer than I really want to be, but it's been a good experience. I've served on the Manchester Planning Commission for the last several years, and I'm running for council because I want to help Manchester keep being a great place to live. We have a real positive energy in Manchester right now. We've developed great plans for now and for the future: transportation master plan, water and sewer master plan, economic development plan, emergency plan, and the town overall master plan. This planning is the result of a lot of great work by town staff, by the planning commission, and by the town council, and I just want to help that continue. Smart budgeting and careful use of town funds and grants have put us in a really good position as a community right now and for moving forward. And I believe the role of our town council is to continue to provide excellent infrastructure and service, maintain and improve parks and public spaces for people to enjoy, provide some fun events for the community that aren't excessively expensive, like the 4th of July celebration that the town puts on, and the Christmas bazaar. 30% of our town, I'll tell you about 30% of our town later.
Thank you. Terry?
I'm Jerry Rolf Seaman. I am not a native to Sheridan County, but I got here as quickly as I could. I was born in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and got out of there as fast as I could. We went to Casper, where I graduated from Natrona County High School. Met my wife, Roberta, who works at Cowboy State Bank, and we will celebrate 52 years of marriage next week. We have 3 children. Thank you. We have 3 children and 10 grandchildren. I joined the Army shortly after we got married. I was proud to serve in the Army. I could tell you what I did, but then I'd have to kill. No, that's an old, overused joke. But I was proud to serve in the Army. I went to the NCO Leadership Academy, and I learned a lot of good skills. After I got out of the Army, I went to the University of Wyoming. I got a bachelor's degree in education, and I began a teaching career. And in those days, it was hard to have a teaching job in Wyoming, so I found myself teaching out of state, eventually coming back when I had the opportunity. I also have a master's degree from Montana State University in Billings and from Liberty University, so 2 master's degrees. I'm running because taxes and inflation are really hurting both our seniors and our young folks. We have a daughter in town with 5 children, and I don't know if she will ever be able to afford her own home. Her rent is going up all of the time, and I think we need to get some common sense to everything, and I will bring a conservative perspective to the Manchester Town Council when I am elected. Thank you.
Thank you. We will move to our first question, and we will start with Terry. What is the most important revenue source for the town of Manchester, and what will you do to support it?
The most important revenue source?
Yeah, for the town of Manchester, and what would you do to support it?
I have looked at several of the revenue sources on a recent budget, and it's hard to say. The biggest revenue source probably comes from the state of Wyoming. There are also the tax revenues that I am one that would be in favor of lowering those bills. I think we can get by with less money, and I would definitely support the constitutional revenue services.
Thank you. Richard?
I agree. Our main source of revenue for Manchester is tax dollars. But what everybody has to talk, everybody hates the word taxes. I mean, everybody. What I see them as is fees for services. You cut taxes, cut fees for services, and you're going to have to cut services. We need to maintain what we have, spend it in a reasonable and accountable way, and to take care of the town, our parks, our employees. We need to take care of all that, and that's what our revenue is for. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
As Terry and Richard both mentioned, the biggest source of revenue for the town is taxes. We also collect fees for water, sewer, and garbage, but that doesn't come close to paying all the bills. And so taxes, whether we like them or not, are a fact of life. I don't like excessive taxes like everyone else doesn't, but I would remind everyone that Wyoming has the lowest tax burden of all the 50 states, the lowest personal tax burden of all the 50 states. I want it to stay that way, but taxes pay for services, and so yeah, our greatest source of revenue comes from those taxes. And if anyone wants to write a check and make a donation, we can do it that way, but that's probably not going to happen. So.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to question number 2, and we'll start with Tim. How would you prioritize the city spending if revenues decline?
To prioritize spending if revenues decline, critical infrastructure and those services would be number 1. Town employees, retention and recruitment would be number 2 in my book. We currently have great town employees, not a ton. We employ about 11 people, but those people do a great service for our town and do a lot of work. And so that would be number 2, and those would be the 2 most important.
Thank you, Terry.
I think probably the most important service that the town offers is that of the infrastructure, whether it's water and sewer, garbage, keeping the streets plowed in the wintertime when we do get a winter, and just generally taking care of our community in that way. I would, lost my train of thought there, I apologize. I also think that, the time will come that we will have lower revenues, and we're going to have to be ready for it and to prioritize infrastructure first and foremost.
Thank you, Richard.
The growth of our sewer system and our infrastructure, water is safe. We need to grow our city sewer system. If we lose funding, we'll have to make cuts in other places. I agree with Tim. Our
our employees in our town are providing to what goes on in town. They take care of so much. We need to retain them as much as we can. But infrastructure is definitely the most vital thing we need to cover. If we lose more funding, we're going to have to make cuts to things that people need or want. And that's going to be tough. Those cuts are going to be tough if we have to do it. Thank you.
Okay, we're to question number 3. We'll start with Richard. What is the biggest challenge facing our town, and how will you address it?
I think the biggest challenge we have right now is the growth. Like Jessica said, we've been the fastest growing community in Wyoming for at least the last 3 years. It's because people can't afford to live in Sheridan, so they come out here. And when they come out to Manchester and Dayton, we need to cover infrastructure for those people. We need to expand our sewer system, things like that. We need to protect the people that are here, our services, our infrastructure, take care of our streets and sidewalks, and again, deal with what we can when we get it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. What is the biggest challenge facing our town, and how will you address it?
I'm kind of a Pollyanna guy, and I always see the glass as half full. Actually, it's 100% full. It's 50% wine and 50% air. So the glass is always full in my mind. I don't mean to stick my head in the sand, but I don't really see us having a huge number of problems facing us. I think we're doing a lot of really positive things to prevent problems from occurring right now with our plans. And I think continuing to stress well thought out planning and well thought out budgeting is going to eliminate most of the problems before they arrive. That being said, probably the greatest challenge facing us is the rapid growth in our community.
Thank you, Terry.
Well, I think the biggest challenge that we have facing us as a community is lower taxes are coming to the state of Wyoming. I think it's there's almost a revolt with the high personal property taxes. I see people at both ends of the scale, and so it will take very good stewardship to be able to keep the essential services and watch the city in a way that we can grow responsibly. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll go to our 2-minute closing. We'll start with Terry.
Yeah, I'd like to quote one of my favorite presidents, Ronald Reagan, and he said, "Government is not a solution to our problem. Government is the problem. Government does not solve problems, it subsidizes them. Government's view of the economy could be summed up in a few short phrases. If it moves, tax it. If it keeps moving, regulate it. If it stops moving, subsidize it. The problem is not that the people are taxed too little. The problem is that the government spends too much." And I think that if you elect me to be part of the town council, I will look very studiously and very carefully and employ the same kind of leadership and educational skills that I have employed earning 2 master's degrees, trying to really go through and make sure, is this something that we really need? It's not the town's money, it's the people's money. I would thank you for your vote, particularly if you want to have somebody that represents conservative Christian values, and I thank you for coming and enduring the heat this evening.
Thank you. Richard?
I think we've said it all. We need to cover infrastructure, and we need to protect it. And as long as we protect that, and we protect our employees, keep our county, our cities, our little town is perfect. I like to, what was it I said? A good little green spot in Wyoming is a perfect place to live. And Ranchester's that. People are wanting to live in Ranchester, and I believe we can keep up with the growth as long as we just added a new sanitary sewage interceptor. And we need to expand our sewer system. If we expand our sewer systems, we can actually accommodate more growth. But that growth needs to be responsible. It needs to be accountable to all the taxpayers. We pay money, so we should get a return. We should get a positive return from that money. That's why taxes are fees for services. We provide those services to the people coming into our community just as much as protecting the people who are in our community. I'd like to see Manchester stay the way it is, a perfect little green spot. And everybody loves it. I mean, people are coming to these not just because they can't get insurance. People are coming to Manchester because they like what Manchester has to offer. A nice, quiet, homey type community. And that's what I want to continue to help grow, is that. We need to keep the growth reasonable and accountable. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim?
Thanks. I mentioned 30% of our town a minute ago, and 30% of the town of Manchester are children, less than 18. So, excuse me, I'm a lifelong educator and champion of kids, so I want to make sure that we keep our eye on that as a town council too, that what we do matters for the children in the community and as they become young adults. I want Manchester to be not just a place where people live, but a place where people want to live and raise their kids. I'm going to share a presidential quote also from Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt said, do what you can with what you have, where you are. I would encourage all of us to do that. Get involved, volunteer, serve on the planning commission, serve at the community center. Find some way to serve your community. Rather than just have this attitude of what the government can do for us, we all need to step in there and remember that we are the government, not just the people that are elected, all of us. So thanks for coming, and wow, I got to tell you, I'm kind of impressed that you all stayed. I've coached a lot of ball games where if we were very far behind in the fourth quarter, the stands were empty. I want to wish good luck to all the candidates, especially me. So I'd appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move to the Dayton area. Okay. Let's go ahead and get started with our intro, and we will start with Brett.
Thank you. My name is Brett Barney. I've been here for 16 years. One thing that I just want to pledge right now, if I am elected mayor, I will not remove any of Sheridan Dominguez's political signs. Leave them on your doorstep. Well, that will hold. Okay. So I've been a law enforcement officer for over 20 years. I've been in public safety my entire life. Really kind of for the last 45 years, either working on private ranches or working for a nonprofit dealing with just kind of dealing with car train collisions across the United States. I've investigated many car train collisions. Fatalities. My first week as a law enforcement officer, I went to a suicide where a lady walked into a car train. That was my first. My last car train incident that I ever dealt with was one of my law enforcement officers. His wife was killed in a car train collision about a month after I retired. I had to go do that notification. So I spent a lot of time seeing a lot of things. I want to serve the community that I'm at right now because I just want to continue serving for the great work that this community has done for me. I appreciate your help. Thanks.
Thank you. Holly?
Mr. Schwend, fellow candidates, and most importantly, Daytonians, good evening. Thank you, Mr. Schwend, for facilitating tonight's forum and the community center. I'd also like to thank my fellow candidates for their willingness to serve our community. It is encouraging to see people step forward and care deeply about the future of Dayton. My name is Anna Fissa. I'm honored to be here as a candidate for mayor. Going on 7 years, I've had the privilege of serving the town of Dayton as your town clerk, clerk treasurer, and former administrator. During that time, I've worked alongside elected officials, town staff, engineers, attorneys, state agencies, local businesses, and residents to help move our community forward. I've managed public funds, overseen grants and infrastructure projects, modernized town operations, and worked every day to ensure transparency, accountability, and responsible stewardship of taxpayer resources. That experience has reinforced an important truth. Leadership is never about one person. I'm only as strong as the team beside me, and I'm incredibly grateful to work with dedicated staff who care deeply about this community. Together we uphold a culture of respect, collaboration, and service that benefits the people of Dayton every day. As a wife, a mother, and a proud Dayton resident, I understand the importance of protecting what makes our town special while planning thoughtfully for the future. I believe Dayton deserves leadership that combines experience with integrity, fiscal responsibility, and a genuine commitment to serving others. I appreciate the opportunity to be here this evening, and I look forward to sharing my vision, answer your questions, and demonstrate why my campaign has always been more than a promise. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, first question, we'll start with Holly. What area in the budget needs more resources and what one area needs less?
Thank you for the question. Budgeting is a crucial factor in government, as you all know. I have been part of that for 7 years now. I feel like taxes are important. None of us like taxes, but as a small government, we need taxes. I feel also like we have been fiscally really responsible, sorry. And I think we're in a good spot at the moment.
Thank you. Brett?
Say that again, please.
What area in the budget needs more resources and what one area needs less?
So I've not really looked at the budget except for this year, and I don't really see that I don't really see any differences that I would make at the moment. I know we need some more infrastructure work done, but we also have limited funds, and we have a water project that's currently going on. That's important as well. So I'm not really sure that I think we need to move some stuff around maybe in the future, but I'm not really sure that I would eliminate anything. I'm not sure we're using too much money anymore right now.
Okay, thank you. Question 2, we'll start with Brett. If you are successful in this office, at the end of your term, what will be noticeably different because you serve?
More community involvement. I think communications are vital to this community. I feel like we are lacking in communications, and getting information out to the public. I'd like to see more public involvement in all the things that we do. I know we have a lot of volunteers that do a lot of work, but I think that there are more options, more availability for us to do things. This is our community, and we need to do this together. It's not us sitting here. It's not your council sitting here. It's not the planning commission that's doing, but they're doing a lot of work. All of us are doing a lot of work, but the public needs to be involved with everything that we do. They need to be heard. They need to be listened to. They need to step up and help. And the community development plan is currently being updated. I think is going to help with that.
Thank you. Holly?
I think at the end, I would like to see finish what we started. We are busy with big projects at the moment, like the water plant upgrades. We just successfully completed the lagoon project. We still are busy with park improvements, our budget pool projects. We've updated our utility payment online. I would like to see those completed. I would like for us to preserve and strengthen what makes Dayton special. Dayton has a strong sense of community, and like Mr. Barney said, we want to make sure that everyone gets involved and comes to town meetings, are equally important in every aspect of decision making.
Thank you. Move to question 3. We'll start with Conley. How would you balance economic growth with preserving the community's character?
Can you repeat that one more time? Sorry.
How would you balance economic growth while preserving the community's character?
Dayton is a small town. We don't have a lot of economic development opportunities. We definitely have to protect what we have. We need to work on what we have. We need to grow sensibly. And I think we can do that with keeping the beautiful Dayton and its culture and its small community assets. We are all proud to be here, but there has to be a small amount of economic growth.
Thank you. Brett?
That's a really tough question. I thought a little bit about this, and somebody approached me a week or so ago and was talking to me about wanting to try to do something around Christmas time in the park. And I was thinking about that a little bit more, and I've had some other people talk to me about some different options of trying to get tourism into the community, trying to, whether it's again something in the park, whether it's the art walk that used to happen, the Bozeman Trail art chalk, sidewalk chalk thing that happens. There might be a lot of different ways that we can bring in some daily tourism to the community without adding more infrastructure or business to downtown.
Okay, thank you. Now we're going to 2-minute closing, and we'll start with Brett.
I really kind of came into this just, a lot of people asked if I would consider running, and I gave it a lot of thought and decided that I would go ahead and do that. I really didn't have a plan as far as what I wanted to accomplish other than the community development plan. The community development plan is up for its 10-year review. I think it's vital and important that the community has a say in what the future of its community is. And I think that's fantastic. Since then, I've had a lot of people talk to me about different things, whether it's infrastructure, roads, stuff that, under the ground infrastructure, but definitely roads. That's what they drive on every single day. I understand that that's important, but we also, again, we have limited funds, and water is also very important. We're working on that. The town is currently working on that. I think we got great employees that are doing an excellent job of trying to maintain everything that's going on. I think that by doing the road maintenance, I think it would be helpful to have a future plan so that we know next year, the year after, and the year after that, how are we going to maintain our infrastructure above ground and below ground? What are our priorities? So I think I'm looking forward to the future of this community. I'm looking forward to your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Conley?
As we close tonight, I'd like to leave you with one simple thought. More than a promise means more than campaign words. It means proven commitment, showing up and doing work every single day. My goals are clear. Preserve the small town values we all treasure while planning responsibly for the future. I will continue to lead with transparency, responsible stewardship of taxpayers' dollars, strong partnerships, and decisions that always put Dayton's best interests first. Leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about listening, bringing people together, making thoughtful decisions, and leading with integrity.
I believe our greatest strength has always been our community. Together we can protect what makes Dayton special while building even stronger future for generations to come. Thank you for the incredible support you've already shown throughout this campaign. It's been truly humbling, and I'm grateful to be part of such an amazing community. I hope to see many of you Dayton Days this weekend. Please stop by, and thank you to Mr. Schwind, my fellow candidates, and each of you for taking time to be here tonight. More than a promise, your town, your voice, your vote matters. Thank you. God bless Dayton.
We will now move into the Dayton council member. Okay, we have 7 candidates total. Lori Walters-Clark was unable to attend. I have a statement here that I will read, and then we will go into 2-minute intros for everybody. Lori Walters-Clark for Dayton Town Council. I'd like to thank the Chamber for organizing this forum and Tongue River Valley Community Center for hosting. A year ago, I made plans to meet with family in Colorado. I did not change the dates, otherwise I'd be there. I am running for town council because I believe Dayton's future depends on thoughtful planning, responsible infrastructure management, and sound financial stewardship. Our community deserves leadership that looks beyond the next budget cycle and prepares for the years ahead.
Excuse me, I got to object to the reading of this. She couldn't show up here. I don't think she's going to give me her time.
She's allowed to. This is what we're going to do. Our community deserves leadership that looks beyond the next budget cycle and prepares for the years ahead. I will work to support a comprehensive vision for Dayton, maintain and improve our infrastructure through long-term planning, and safeguard the financial integrity of our hometown government. Our goal is simple: make decisions that serve today's residents while leaving Dayton stronger for future generations. Okay, now we'll move into 2-minute intro, but to just go through, just so you understand, sir, we've been doing this a long time. This has always been the rules. This is how we'll do that. Okay. We're going to start with the opening intro with Lisa. Okay. 2-minute open with Lisa.
Sorry, I
Can't hear
cannot
you?
hear you.
I'm sorry.
I cannot hear you.
Okay. So we're going to start with a 2-minute opening for you. You're starting.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Lisa Chase. I didn't have anything prepared. I have been extremely busy with Dayton Days. Please come. I'm a wife, a mother, soon to be a grandma for the first time, so I'm super excited about that. An entrepreneur with experience ranging from the medical field to the entertainment industry, and served as an office operations supervisor for the Department of Commerce for the 2020 census. My family moved to Wyoming for its conservative values and chose Dayton for its small town charm and natural beauty. Having lived under progressive dominance, I've seen how government inefficiency, over-regulation, and restrictive policies stifle small businesses, burden taxpayers, erode quality of life, and infringe on individual liberty. I am committed to stand against those pursuing misguided changes, stopping mismanagement, and dedicated to preserving the American spirit in Dayton and Wyoming.
I'm a Dayton Days volunteer, like I just said. Currently, I'm burning the candle at both ends, trying to deal with the campaign and that. I recently joined the Dayton School Benefit Club, and my hope is that I will be able to be given the opportunity to have a hand keep Dayton a place my children and grandchildren will have the privilege to live in the future.
Thank you.
And I don't like public speaking at all. I like to talk, just not publicly.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Howard Hill. My wife, Jane, is over here. We've been married for 34 years. Together we had 2 boys, both of which are naval officers. We raised our boys in Encampment, Wyoming, and after 26 years as an engineer on the Union Pacific Railroad, I retired and we moved to Dayton, Wyoming. My first attraction to Dayton, of course, was its size. No stoplights, and of course we traded the Sierra Madres for the bighorns. I am a master mason, a Shriner, currently Deputy Grand Commander of the Knights Templar of Wyoming. I'm also chairman of the Constitution Party of Sheridan County. I volunteered at 4-H and FFA for many years. I was superintendent at the pig barn, a shooting sports instructor, church auctions, American Legion, and VFW as well, where we spent time volunteering in various things. Jane and I are also members of Dayton Community Church here in town. My faith in God is the moral compass that guides my commitment to public service. I had no intention of running for town council, but in the last 6 months I've had numerous people come to me and ask me to run. I guess they had seen my persistence in trying to get a building permit. It took me approximately 8 months to get this building permit, and things shouldn't be this difficult to build something on your own property. Many of you have seen my signs around town. The most important aspect of those signs is the statement at the bottom of this sign, and it is to keep Dayton, Wyoming. In closing, I stand for property rights as property owners, total transparency in our local government, making good use of taxpayer money, fiscal requirements, and be nice.
Thank you. Robbie?
Hi, I'm Bobby Logan. My family has served this community for many years. My great-grandmother Wilma owned the Yellowstone Cafe in Dayton. My grandfather maintained and Community Hall and Women's Center for many years, worked for the town and collected garbage, and I was volunteered many times to do that job. And my Uncle Mel was Marshal and Director of Public Works. My dad was Director of Public Works and a Level 3 waterman for Dayton for 22 years. He was a minister and board chair for Renew. My mom was president of the Women's Club for many years. As a kid, I went to work for Bighorn Coal. My dad got injured, so I had to go leave the state to go seismographing for years to support the family, as I'm the oldest of 7. And I came back when I was 20 and managed the IXL ranch. At that time, Mr. L. Logan wanted to donate money, wanted to build a tennis court. It took me about 3 months to convince him that it would be better to have a swimming pool, so he donated a pool to the town of Dayton, and I finished the 10 years there and went to work for UPS for 30 years, and retired from UPS to take care of my mom full-time and babysit my grandkids, and I've been on the council for 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Guy?
My name is Guy Mitchell. I am a Richard, resident of Dayton for the last 50 years. I think the first time I saw Dayton was in 1965. Everything was gravel roads. Everything I think there are 350 people. Met my future wife in the third grade here. As soon as I graduated high school in Buffalo, I came back, 66. We've been married 47 years. We raised both of our kids here. Kindergarten through 12. One of them finally decided to move back to the Philippines, so now we have grandkids here. Cindy and I retired about 10 years ago, and since then we've been volunteering for Dayton. We've been on the game days for 8 years, retired last year from that. Currently working with the Parks Committee for the last 5 years. And I'm the chairman of the planning department. Appreciate you coming down and appreciate your help.
Thank you. Angela?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Angela Norton, and I'm running for Dayton Town Council because I have, over the last 8 years, been happily raising my children here and have fallen in love with this town. I am successfully managing a small business on Main Street, and I've had a connection here since I was 12. My business has allowed me to build relationships with people throughout Dayton and the surrounding town River Valley. Those connections have shown me how important it is for us to work together. My goal here is to be the voice for all of our residents. I believe we can maintain the small town feel and values that make Dayton so special while embracing thoughtful growth that helps our businesses, family, and communities thrive. It would be an honor to earn your trust and serve on the Dayton Town Council. I would be new to the game. I would just thank you for your time, support, and opportunity to be here.
Thank you. Eric?
Good evening, everybody. My name's Eric Reese, and I'm running for Dayton Town Council. And just a little bit about myself. 55 years old, have a Bachelor of Arts in Media Communications. I've been in Dayton for 10 years with my lovely wife, Shelley, and we've been married going on 33 years. We raised 4 sons. Their ages are 35 to 25, and you may know our youngest son, Justice. He graduated from Tongue River in 2020. He's kind of how I met a lot of people in Dayton, so thanks to him for that. So 3 of those boys live locally, 2 in the Valley, 1 in Sheridan, and I am current. Sorry about that. So one thing I'm very proud of with those boys is they are all married and they are all homeowners. And even though they're their own people, I like to take a little bit of credit for that, for raising them properly. I hope I did a good job. I think I did. So I'm very proud of that. I'm currently the Dayton representative for the Sheridan County Travel and Tourism Board. Awesome board to be on. I had a lot of good people. And I want to kind of dispel a rumor. A lot of people in Dayton think that I'm retired. Definitely not retired. My wife and I run 2 businesses. The first one is it's a digital education resource business that we sell our products over for teachers across the world. So that's been a good thing for us. We also have a short-term rental property business. We only have 1 rental at this point, but we hope to expand it. My career before, I've always been an entrepreneur, but I've also worked for other people, and I was in telecom for 18 years, and I was the director of provisioning for Level 3 Communications, and they're out of Brookfield, Colorado, so I guess I'm done. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll start with question 1, and we'll start with Eric. And then I'll come back down on the list. So question 1. How can zoning changes help keep some housing affordable for working families, and how will you solicit community input in those proposed zoning changes?
Yeah, I think the community involvement is the key there. We do need to, I think, change some of the zoning in Dayton for that. Affordable housing is just such a tough thing. It's I don't even know how to address it. I mean, I have developed some property, and it's almost impossible to pencil out something right now. Just because of the cost of everything. Everybody, I think you know what the cost of construction is. We just built a new house in Dayton, and it's quite expensive. So I'm not sure how the zoning would change any of that.
Okay, thank you. Lisa?
So I know a lot of you know that 2 years ago they tried to put a 52-page ordinance change through and a lot of changes to the ordinances, including 3,000 square feet more for a minimum lot size. You could build an accessory building on your own property if it was under 21,000 square feet. Those things to me seem like they would make your property a lot more expensive when you go to sell it, rather than being able to divide up your property and say your elderly parents wanted to live next door, or your kids wanted to come home and live here. And I think that the zoning changes that were being proposed were terrible, but we probably need to address some of them as they are.
Thank you. Howard? Yes. How can zoning changes help keep some housing affordable for working families? And how would you solicit community input in those proposed changes?
Thank you. I'm going to reiterate what Lisa just said. We've had this thing they've been trying to push through, which got shut down last year, called Title 17, which restricts growth. I'm into growth, but I'm into slow, responsible growth. Zoning, which is where they were headed with some of this 50-page document, would further restrict any zoning. I think Dayton, the community, needs to be aware of what's going to happen if the wrong people get into this position. And this zoning, Title 17 thing, becomes an item. You get the right people on the council and the right one in a mayor, this is going to be pushed upon you once again. That is, of course, my opinion, and my opinion only.
Thank you. Bobby?
I don't think we have really much area to really zone in Dayton anymore. As far as growth, unless some property sells, they're pretty landlocked with everything around, so I don't know where zoning would change.
Okay, thank you. Guy?
I agree with Bobby. We're not like, there are certain places in town that could be annexed in that could, I guess, grant some housing. But right now, really not a lot of room. If you rezone certain areas, that's a possibility of having some type of apartment buildings, but right now, I just don't see that happening.
Thank you. Angela?
Thank you. So, for my understanding, I feel I agree with Heiker, in that rezoning would be valuable. I think that bringing a different perspective is what I can do for the town of Dayton, as far as updating some of the ordinances collaboratively with those who have been experienced in the position. And I talk to a lot of the community, and I'd love to talk to a lot more and learn more about that. Get my hands in there.
Okay, we'll go on to question number 2, and we'll start with Angela. Are you in favor of completing the walking path between Dayton and Manchester? Why or why not?
Well, I am secretary on the board with the pathway, and I am in favor of the pathway. Whether that happens now or in the future, that's something that I would love to get involved in and learn more about to help understand why Dayton has been opposed in the government, because I think the community would be more for it than we think so. So yeah, I'm in favor.
Thank you. Eric?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm definitely for the pathway. I mean, if anybody has read the feasibility
feasibility study and surveys have gone along with that. The town of Dayton wants the pathway. The pathway committee, which Angela's part of, I mean, they have raised almost $300,000 for that pathway. Now, a caveat to that would be if the town of Dayton, if we don't have our infrastructure in place, if we don't have water, sewer, streets, you know, and the town employees can go along with that, then I don't know how we can put money towards it. But if you look at the big part of the project, I mean, I think it's $5 or $6 million. They're only asking for 3.5% for both communities.
Thank you. Lisa?
So in Spokane, Washington, we had the Centennial Trail, and it was funded with private money, not tax dollars. And I know that Manchester has just asked for another $1 million in taxpayer money to fund the pathway. I am not against pathways, but I am against this one as it stands because it is taking taxpayer dollars for a pet project that can be spent in other places. So that's my opinion. I don't really have anything else on it because the way it is, I just don't agree that it should be proceeding.
Thank you. Howard?
I am currently against it. I'm actually strongly against it. When you look in the future, everybody wants to say, well, they're free dollars, this is a grant. Grant is tax dollars paid for by us. I believe there's other options we can look at. There's too many variables in this. I no longer have children at home. Thank God I never had girls, although I wanted one. I don't want my kid out there on that path in the dark, only a couple of miles off the interstate. There's other options we can looking at, like going on 4th Street, going along the river, and we can make a path out that way. There's several different options that we can do. But looking into the future, that cost is going to fall on this town, and that's a cost I don't think we can bear at this time.
Okay, thank you. Rob?
The long-term cost of this is at some point will fall on the town. At this point, we have infrastructure issues that we need to follow. We're redoing the water plant, and we have many roads and utilities that are aging, so we need to deal with those first. If we could, it would be a great deal, but I think it's infrastructure first.
Thank you. Brad?
I think this would have been a better question for Manchester, because I think that's how that pathway gets built. There's currently 80 acres for sale just north of Pathway Lane, and I think that's once that's developed, the pathway moves that far. I don't think it gets built backwards. As far as the pathway is concerned, I think it's noise at this point. I think it's private donations. I think that eventually we will see it, but it's going to be in the future.
Okay, we'll go to question number 3, and we'll start with Guy. What business growth is needed in town, and how would you support it?
We could sure use a restaurant, we could use a hotel. The problem with Dayton, as I see it, is all of your commercial property is being taken up with housing. And we saw it with the sale of Van Down, and there's this, hopefully, they develop something. But we certainly could use some of this.
Thank you. Angela?
Thank you. I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yes. What business growth is needed in town, and how will you support it?
Yes, I agree with the restaurant. I love a good breakfast restaurant. And most businesses, there's only just a small handful of businesses right now, which I think would pair if we looked at the rezoning into the business structure. Like, to help develop it would be, to be a part of it, would to be help, talk to the community. What can we do to help each other get a business going successfully and to get staff to help employ the business, right? Thank you.
Thank you. Eric?
Yeah, so this is kind of a double-edged sword because we can't really, it's like Guy said, you know, we've kind of zoned our business section out of Main Street with all the houses that are there. And we can't really support businesses without growing some of the town. And I know there's a lot of folks in Dayton who don't want it to change at all. I mean, I myself am one of them. That's why I live here. I mean, I'm a small town guy. But, you know, if we're only building like one house every 5 years, you know, there's not going to be any businesses that are going to come here. So it is a double-edged sword. And I would kind of like to see that change a little bit. And like they said too, we're kind of limited on where we can grow. So.
Thank you. Lisa?
So changing the current ordinances that we have right now that only allow you to use 5% of your total property. So if you have 7,500 square feet, you can use 375 square feet of your accessory building to do business in, or 20% of your house. I think that's pretty restrictive, and you ought to be able to use your whole entire accessory building and build one also. And the proposed ordinances would make those even more restrictive. So I think that we need to open up those restrictions and allow people to have home occupations. As long as they are not bothering their neighbors, there should be no reason why you cannot do a business out of your own home.
Thank you. Howard?
I personally would like to see a restaurant and a hardware store. I don't care if they're in the same building. As a matter of fact, Jane, I spent 4th of July weekend intensely. They're a town of, I believe, 248, and I believe they have 4 restaurants and or bar-type combination things, and they make it happen. They make it work. They use them, and we would have to do that. And I've heard in the past that from some people that they didn't use them when they were here. A little coffee shop would be nice, somewhere where some folks could gather. I'd also like to see something for the kids, a little more for the kids. We got to keep them busy, keep them here, and keep them out of trouble.
Thank you, Bobby.
Well, again, it's real estate. We don't have anywhere really to bring business in other than like a small business in the residential area. But outside of that, we really have no place to expand.
Okay, we'll move to 2-minute closing, and we'll start with Bobby.
I've said about all I've got about me, so just asking for your vote and the chance to continue as my family has to serve this community, and let the rest of you guys go.
Thank you. Guy?
As I mentioned before, I've been here 50 years. My wife's has been here 120 plus. Her grandfather was mayor here twice. Brothers have been in the fire department for 30 years. Cindy and I volunteered. I see this as an opportunity for us to keep adding to Dayton and giving back, because Dayton certainly has given us a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Angela?
Thank you. So as we know, Dayton is our little piece of heaven, and I would love to just be a part of that and help preserve it. I haven't done much yet in the council and government part, gone to a few meetings, and I think Dayton has been ran wonderfully recently from what I can see with all of the upgrades in towns. And, you know, there's just some final things we can help narrow in on. So I thank you for your time and opportunity and staying this late in this hot building for being here. And again, hope for your vote of confidence on August 18th.
Thank you. Eric?
Yeah, so what I'm going to bring to this is a common sense approach. And the number one thing, I think, and that's why we're all here, is the infrastructure. The infrastructure that's the whole point of the council and the mayor, is to make sure we've got water, sewer, streets, and all the stuff to take care of that. One thing I think we need to really improve in the town of Dayton is communication, and it's just across the board. I think that was brought up when the mayors were up here as well. The mayor candidates were up here as well. But it's across the board. It has to be, the communication has to improve from the government to the citizens, and it has to improve internally between the planning committee, the council, the mayor, the attorneys, the engineers. And I like to think that with the leadership that I've had in the past, the leadership roles I've had, that I can bring that. And honestly, it's 2026. I mean, there's electronic means we can communicate very easily. So that's one thing we really need to improve on. And my motivation for running, besides those things, my kids are here and my grandkids are here. I plan to stay here indefinitely. So I want to try to make Dayton the best we can possibly have, the best we can make it. And I want to be part of that. And one thing I do want to say to the people of Dayton, how grateful I am for welcoming me and my family here when we moved here. One of my sons, Justice, he was a sophomore in high school, and I can't imagine going to a new place at that age. But I'm just really grateful for that. And I think what I would like to do, I would like to bring my expertise and my leadership to the town as a thank you. And if you'll have me, I humbly ask for your vote next month. And if I get past that, then I'll ask for it again in November. So thank you.
Alex, please.
I'd like to thank you personally. I'd like to thank all of the citizens of Dayton. I'm grateful for this time as well. The main thing, let me go back. When Jane and I moved here a couple of years ago, I came here to retire. I went to Alaska to visit my son, and when I got back, my wife said, "Oh, I'm going to buy a house." I said, "Oh, okay." Well, we ended up buying this house, having a garage sale, and this young lady's walking by while we're having a garage sale. My wife says, is that an ice cream? If so, I'm going to knock you down and take it." And that young lady went back to the store and bought 2 more ice creams and brought them back to us. Her name was Remy. And I said, my faith in the youth has been restored, and I feel very grateful for this town. I want to keep it safe, clean, and I want to keep it western. I want to invest in our youth. I think we need to protect the water rights that we have and seek others, because water is going to be an issue. I want to stop Title 17. I think we need to give the property rights back to the people. Quit restricting our rights. If you would like to visit with me further, I would hope there would be some more personal questioning on this end. I will be at Dayton Park, Scott Park, on Saturday after the parade all day, and I believe my wife is going to give you cake. So if y'all want to show up, I'll be there, and I will be more than glad to talk to you on any level you want to speak. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Lisa?
So I do not have a closing. I chose Dayton. I love it here. I left a place that I do not ever want to see Wyoming turn into. And I hope that if I get elected, that you will trust me to protect your property rights, protect your liberties, make it so that we can hopefully have our children stay here, maybe as I said earlier, our aging parents, if they need to move here, they will have a place to stay. And I think that if we make some of the changes that I believe as well will be implemented if this council changes too much, that housing won't be affordable here because all the lots will be larger and all the houses will be bigger that get built. And, I want my kids to stay here. I want my grandkids to stay here. So I hope that you'll vote for me. And I do have one little story. When I moved here, the very first question that anyone asked me for weeks was, did I come here to change things? And it was within months that I learned that they were making these drastic changes to our ordinances. And I thought it was pretty funny that I was the one who was being accused of coming into this town and maybe trying to change things because I came from Washington State. I left Washington State, I escaped Washington State so that I could be in a place like this, and I don't want to change it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ken. Now we move to our state senator candidate.
I'm not a speaker. I'm a grunt.
Well, I'm committed now. We have 3 hours of video here.
I know, right?
Okay, we'll jump into this.
Why do you think I'm here?
I was wondering.
So, let's see, you have a 2-minute opening.
Recorded the whole
All right, well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for staying tonight, and I apologize to you for the voice that you're going to have to suffer through, but thank you for being here. Thanks to the Chamber for hosting. Thank you to Dave for moderating. It's especially good to be here in Dayton because some of my oldest memories are of Dayton. My grandfather worked for Padlock, and my grandmother and I used to walk across the bridge when there was still a library in Dayton and go to the library. And I can remember dreaming that someday I would get to come back to Dayton. Life has a funny way of working out that way. Because today, Mike and I live just outside of Dayton, where we've lived about 25 years now. This week we're celebrating 7 years at a Nominate Bakery in Manchester, and we've owned the Lazy Art Campground for more than 20 years. Owning a small business has taught me that leadership means making difficult decisions, balancing competing priorities, and thinking about tomorrow, not just today. Leadership isn't measured by how quickly we say yes, nor is it measured by how proudly we say no. It's measured by whether our decisions leave Wyoming stronger than we found it. That's how I'll approach this job. I'll ask, what problem are we trying to solve? Is there a public benefit? Is government the right tool? And what are the long-term consequences of the decisions we make? I was fortunate to come home, build a life, and build a business here. I want every Wyoming kid to have that same opportunity. The opportunity to make a living, build a future and a community, and choose Wyoming as home. That's the kind of principled, constructive, conservative leadership Wyoming needs, and the leadership I'll bring to the Wyoming Senate. Thanks, I look forward to your questions.
Okay, question number 1. What are the needs of your district, and how does it differ from other districts in Sheridan County?
What are the needs of my district, and how does it differ from needs of other districts in Sheridan County? I think there are some areas where the two districts, District 22 and District 21, overlap, obviously in Sheridan. But, some of the issues are the same. The things I'm hearing the most as I am traveling around and talking to folks in the district are the same, I think, that are shared across the board. Healthcare, housing, childcare is one that has not come up tonight, but it comes up again and again at the door. Reliable, consistent childcare. So those are probably the biggest things that I'm hearing, and I think those are true across both of the districts in Sheridan County.
Thank you. Question 2. What decisions should be made locally rather than by the state legislature?
I really do believe that the government that governs closest to the people governs best. And I believe most decisions should be made at the local level. In fact, I was just talking to someone today about a decision that she wanted me to bring to the legislature. And I told her I think it's a local decision. So I think wherever we can do that locally, where you have the most direct voice, we should do that. When it comes to things where we can leverage our resources and move resources and provide value to communities better at the state level, then we should do it at the state level.
Thank you. Question 3. Have you played a role in economic development in Sheridan County? And if so, what did you learn from that experience that you would bring to the legislature?
Glad you gave me this question, Dave. Thank you. Many of you may not know or may not remember, I served as the executive director of the Sheridan County Chamber of Commerce for about 3.5 years in the early 2000s. And I also served on the Strategic Planning Committee for Forward Sheridan, which at the time was our economic development organization. And then, of course, Mike and I, very early on, were the Tongue River Valley Business Committee. There were all of 5 of us. I'm really excited that that's now one of the first new committees of the Chamber of Commerce in quite some time is the Tongue River Valley Business Committee, and we consistently have about 30 people that come to that.
Okay, thank you. Now you got a 2-minute close.
Oh, that one quick. Okay, expedite for all of you. So tonight you've heard a lot about policies, priorities, and individual issues. Those conversations definitely matter. But when you cast your vote, I don't think you'll simply be choosing between positions on a handful of bills. You'll be choosing the kind of conservative leadership you want representing Sheridan County and Cheyenne. I believe conservative leadership is about more than opposing bad ideas. It's about exercising good judgment, solving real problems, protecting what makes Wyoming special, we heard a lot about that tonight, and creating the conditions for families, businesses, and communities to thrive. I don't believe it's government's job to do everything, but it is government's job to create the conditions for communities to thrive. Every generation inherits a Wyoming it did not build. We have a responsibility to leave it stronger than we found it. To me, that's what stewardship is. That's why I talked so much tonight about asking the right questions, weighing long-term consequences, and focusing on results. Because the decisions we make today will shape the opportunities available to our children and grandchildren tomorrow. I was fortunate enough to come home and build my life here. I want every Wyoming kid to have that same opportunity. If you'll entrust me with your vote, I'll bring principled, constructive, conservative leadership and the judgment to know when to say yes, when to say no, and always keep Wyoming's future at the center of every discussion. Thank you.
Now we'll have our final candidates, the state representatives.
Yeah, it's not good too. Later than Tuesday. Too much.
Okay, we will begin 2-minute intro with Susan.
All right, my phone battery died. Let's see if the microphone is still alive. Good evening. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for hosting these forums, and to the voters who stayed for this very last discussion. I'm Susan Bigelow, and I'm running for the legislature. I have lived and worked in Wyoming for 30 years, working to help grow Wyoming's economy. Jobs, 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 training, and housing. That's why I'm running. I grew concerned about the anti-economic growth attitude shown by the 2026 House of Representatives. I believe Wyoming's next generation deserves us to be good stewards, to retain what is good about Wyoming, to retain the savings that the minerals industry has helped us build, to respect the tax structure that brought us to this very enviable position. I believe we should be investing today for Wyoming's future, investing in good public education that creates workforce skills, investing in economic growth and diversification. I'm not sure I can get you a restaurant though, that provides good paying jobs, and investing in solutions to our housing needs, so young people will be prepared to work in Wyoming industries and can afford to live in Wyoming. Home ownership is the American dream. It is the dream for Wyoming's next generation too. This dream does not seem attainable to many of the young people I have visited across the district. I believe the housing issue deserves serious attention and some creative solutions. My bachelor's degree in engineering, master's degree in business, and PhD in education, and my work experience, which includes bringing over $90 million to Wyoming projects, have prepared me to serve you well. Jobs and a good economic future. That is why I am running to represent Bighorn, Powderhorn, Sheridan, Manchester, and Dayton in the Wyoming House of Representatives. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori?
Thank you to the Chamber and all of you who came tonight to learn more about us and our public policy positions. I'm Laurie Bratton, and I am your elected representative and running for re-election in House District 51. It has been my privilege to serve Dayton, Manchester, and Parkman for the past 2 years. When I first ran, I made a commitment to represent you with professionalism, integrity, and statesmanship. I worked every day to uphold that standard while delivering results grounded in conservative principles. I was born and raised in Ohio, where I graduated from college, started my teaching career, and met my husband of 40 years. We left there after 30 years for work in Colorado and Florida. In 2017, our family chose to move here in Becton for the Wyoming way of life. Becton's like 15 miles over Becton Road down to Big Goose. I'm running for re-election because I care deeply about this community and about the state. My daughter and her husband are raising my 3 grandchildren here. My relationships and my involvement in so many different organizations in this community came before I stepped into the political arena. Many of you know me from Dayton Benefit Club, Cornerstone Church, Reach for Autism, at East Horsemanship, which is for veterans and first responders, the Chamber Government Affairs Committee, the Tongue River Valley Business Committee. I'm a master gardener, and I'm also an agricultural producer. I share your pain when the wind and the hail come. My 16 years of public policy experience at both the state and federal level allowed me to hit the ground running in my first term in office. I work collaboratively with a wide range of legislators in both the House and the Senate to advance meaningful legislation. I'm on both education and judiciary committees, and my work on the joint interim committees has been productive, bringing some significant improvements to committee bills in preparation for the upcoming sessions. I am asking for your vote to continue serving this community. Thank you.
Okay, we'll get into question number 1, and we'll start with Lori. What would be the first proposed legislation you would sponsor in 2027 and why?
I think the question was, what would be the first piece of legislation I would?
Yes, what would be the first proposed legislation you would sponsor in 2027 and why?
So actually, thank you for that question. The first piece of legislation that I'm going to run is something that I had teed up in the last session. It was a budget bill, and that is for fiscal transparency. So I work very closely with the Department of Audit to make sure that people can access records on revenue. There was a question earlier around revenue and what were the top sources of revenue for the municipalities and also for the county. And I have worked with the Department of Audit to put those up there, and they would be ecstatic if I would codify those into law. So that is the very first. It's already written up by the LSO, and that would be the first piece of legislation that will run.
Thank you. Susan?
Thank you very much for this question. Last year, the Wyoming legislature had the opportunity to fund the Wyoming administration of federal money set up by the Trump administration that would feed children who are on free and reduced lunch during the school year and would provide them funding for some food during the summer that would follow the SNAP benefit program. The legislature decided to not fund the Wyoming part of that. Governor Gordon found the funding to put that in place for 1 year, but not for the second year of the biennium. So my first action would be to propose the funding for Wyoming to continue to participate in the Sunbucks program, which would feed children during the summer.
Okay, thank you. Second question, we'll start with Susan. What is the state's responsibility for the mental and physical health of its citizens? Has the state met its responsibility? If it has one, please explain.
I met this last week with Heath Steele and some of the other staff at the VOA, and the VOA is doing a lot of mental health counseling and substance abuse, addiction recovery in the state, not just here in Sheridan County. And they depend on state funding. I believe that we need to step up as a state and really recognize that mental health is a prime problem here in Wyoming. And every time we have a suicide in our community, we're reminded that mental health is not just a fantasy. It is a real problem. And I think as a state, we need to step up and really help address the mental health issues in our communities.
Thank you. Lori?
Thank you. So mental health, I absolutely agree that the VOA has done great work, and I meet with Heath as well, and they'll be changing their director at the VOA, who actually I attend church with. The funding for that has been supported, but we need to look at the levels and where. Certainly, we have a situation with our jail where it wasn't being adequately. Some of the money wasn't being adequately funded at the jail. And Joint Judiciary, which is the committee that I sat on, we made sure that the Department of Health provided $5 million so that patients that were waiting in the jail, the county wouldn't have to pay for that. That would come from the state.
Okay, thank you. Question number 3, start with Lori. How will you propose property tax exemptions, or how will proposed property tax exemptions impact revenue at a local level? What can the legislature do to support cities and counties if this were to happen? Yep. How will proposed property tax exemptions impact revenue at a local level, and what can the legislature do to support cities and counties if this were to happen? Can't hear.
No, I heard it. Is that to me?
Yeah.
Are you talking about the 50%?
No, I'm just talking any proposed property exemptions.
So the 25% property tax exclusion was for all residential properties and associated residential land. The 50% property tax initiative only applies to the residence itself. So I do want to clarify that I am absolutely looking into these numbers, just like I looked into the 25% exemption. All residential land is going to continue to see a property tax increase. 50% only applies to owner-occupied residencies, so it's a higher rate, but it's applied to less property. So I'm having some analysts run the numbers, and the estimate for Sheridan County is there's going to be offsetting factors, and the end result will pretty much be a wash for everyone. But like I said, anybody who knows me knows I run the numbers. Certainly the town of Dayton, I worked with the mayor, and he said that was able to be absorbed the last time, but I am worried about my special districts, and I will run their budget separately.
Thank you. Susan?
Property tax has been probably the number one topic as I visited with the mayors and I visited with the county commission. It was also the topic with some of the special districts and as I have gone to people's homes. And so certainly property taxes is an issue. I believe at this time the legislature has done some really good work for the long-term homeowners exemption with the 25% exemption, but I also think the best work has been in the 4% limit on the increase in the assessed valuation. Because with that, we have some predictability for the payer, and we have predictability for the communities and the county that receive that tax revenue. So I would really recommend that we just hold tight and see how that all plays out, and then we consider if there's any other tax changes that we should make for property tax. Thank you.
Okay, we'll get to our 2-minute closing, and we'll start with Susan.
Thank you. I have appreciated the opportunity to visit with you tonight. Wyoming is at a crossroads. Many believe that Wyoming taxpayers are overburdened and that national problems are Wyoming problems. The simple truth is, we need to focus on Wyoming's problems. And no investing in our future means no good future. We cannot starve the very roads, water systems, fire districts, and schools that keep our families here. My opponent wants to narrow this race for House District 51 to the single issue of who is pro-life enough. While I am firmly pro-life, I do not believe that this is the only issue facing the Wyoming legislature in the next term. As your representative, I will not sit back and quietly wait to see whether a bill or amendment will fail or pass before making a move, as my opponent did when she voted against funding the Sheridan College Science Center when it was first introduced, and only voted for the funding on third reading when it was obvious that the House was going to approve the funding anyway. Instead, I will listen, research, create a coalition to effectively pass legislation, and make a stand early. I will work for jobs, job training, and housing our young people can afford. I will learn about issues such as the annual invasive grasses that threaten grazing lands and areas impacted by fires. I will support funding at the level the experts recommend, something my opponent did not do. When you cast your vote in the primary on August 18th, I ask you to use the standard of delivering results and representing you on all issues that affect your lives and your livelihoods. If you want a legislator who values capability over rhetoric, who answers to Sheridan County, and who has spent 30 years working for Wyoming, I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Gordon?
Wow, well, that was an interesting spin. So thank you again to the Chamber. I am pro-life, and it's not the only issue that I believe in and that I stand strongly on. But my opponent has said that she believes in abortion for mental health, and I don't agree with that. So I absolutely am endorsed by Wyoming Right to Life. As far as Sheridan College, there's always more to the story. I actually ran that amendment for Sheridan College to get the funding for the Science Center, and what happened was I had a nosebleed, and I was in the bathroom, and when I ran out, I was like, wait, is it this amendment or is it a different amendment? And I made a mistake on the amendment. I immediately apologized to my Sheridan College people, and I said, don't worry, I will go talk to my colleagues in the Senate, and I'll make sure that this thing gets passed and that it gets fixed. And that is exactly what I did, because I build relationships, and those relationships are important. So that's what happened with those two things. If your questions weren't answered tonight, you can always reach out to me. Everybody has my cell phone number, and you can share it with each other. I'd love to meet with you and listen to your continue to listen to your concerns and ideas. If reelected, my commitment to you is to continue to deliver results through leadership and collaboration. My ability to build coalitions without compromising my core principles is how the real work gets done in Cheyenne. And when I'm working on bills, I incorporate amendments specifically requested by our local officials. Yes, the 7% regional cost adjustment for Sheridan County School District 1, I specifically worked on that on the Education Committee, and I voted for it on the floor. Long-term local government funding stability via direct distribution at 8%. I voted for that. Property tax relief that didn't address special districts, I voted no on Senate File 110. So I would ask again for your vote on August 18th. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Okay, just a couple of things. First of all, we'd like to thank the Community Center for allowing this to happen, the Chamber for putting everything together, all the volunteers that helped with putting all the behind the scenes. We had a forum on Monday, Tuesday, and tonight. And then all candidates, please make sure you take all your campaign stuff with you. They can't stay here.